Hey, Tony Gaxon's here. Now I want y'all to think about this, okay? You got Kyrie Irving, you got Kanye West, and we just lost the brother Takeoff. And when you look at all of the entertainers that have been lost, it's a whole lot more. But just look at the controversy. We got Nick Cannon with what he goes through. We watch people get mad with Floyd Mayweather for going and in showing his shopping and showing the cash. People get mad about that. Come on now, brother. You walking in the middle of the street when you got all that sidewalk. And listen, right now my son, amazing kid, straight A's, 1 A-. My son got straight A's. To me, an A- is an A, but at his school they differentiate. So he got 1 A-, and it's in an AP class. You know, AP, I think it stands for Advanced Placement. Don't hold me to that, but you get college credit if you pass the AP test at the end of the year. And so he got an he got an A- in a college class, basically. I didn't take AP classes, was not on that level. My wife did. My son been grounded for 3 weeks. No cell phone, no video game. The reason being is because he was talking in class. And in talking in class, the teacher asked him to stop talking, and he kept finding ways to talk. So they give out what you call a demerit. And when that demerit gets handed out, the parent get an email. It's his first demerit. Hopefully it will be his last. He's a sophomore. This will make only 2 demerits. The last one he got in 9th grade, I don't think it was for behavior. I think it was for tardy or something like that, being tardy X amount of times. But he got a demerit, and so he had to pay the consequences. What I am asking you, if you have a son, especially a black son, if you white or Hispanic, Asian, you could include your son too. But what I'm seeing on my media is a lot of black men tied up in controversy. If you have a black son, if you have a black nephew, and your nephew or black brother, anybody that is reachable, that is accessible, some people gonna be set in their ways. So 50-year-old, you still could reach them, but we ain't gonna put a whole lot of stock and time into it. But even 25 years old, I went today and I talked to a room of young men, and 90% of them was black. And I was hard on them, and I talked to them from the heart about themselves and what got to be done. And I took my son. Although my son, school got canceled today because we in the hurricane, little warning. But I took my son. But this one I'm asking you. If you got a black man in your life, a young man, that is impressionable still, that still could be reached, whatever age that may be. It might be 35 for some of y'all, 25, and under on average. Speak into his life every opportunity you get. Speak into his life. Send him videos. If this your son, you live with him, I'm gonna speak from the son perspective. Be hard on your son. Love your son now, but talk to your son. But talk to your son from a healed place. Check where you talking from. If you speaking from anger, if you speaking from insecurity, okay, check yourself. Check yourself, then talk to your son. Talk to your son from a place of real love. Realness, but love. Talk to your son. And let me tell you what to do now. Listen to me on this. I maxed out credit cards. I don't care nothing about no doggone debt. because a lot of people put too much emphasis on it and don't realize we all finna die. So okay, die with your 800 credit score. Listen, if you have not lived, you're gonna regret it. Now, if you could keep your 800 credit score and you could be debt free and you could live, then to God be the glory. But if you find yourself in a situation, that you got to choose between financial freedom and great credit and exposing your child to a better life, to another way of thinking, then you need to choose your child, because that's going to be worth more than any amount of money you could have saved. So I remember we took and we sacrificed when my son was probably 11 years old for him to go play soccer in Italy. There's a company that take your soccer players, and if you have a child that's, I think 11 or older, I think 11 is the youngest age, I'll tell you about the company. It's not about going pro. I don't think the company gonna get you to go pro or nothing like that. Yes, they got residents where you can stay over there. I don't recommend that. But going for the 2 weeks, and one parent go at least, if two parents can go, great. And you could go to Italy, you could go to Germany. We sacrificed and we did that for my son to see something different. When his younger brother get that age, we'll probably go with that company or a different company, whoever going at the time, we're gonna do it. Even though nothing come of it other than the exposure, the experience. I don't mean exposure to scouts, I mean expanding the mind. So my son was 11, his brother was 4. And when we went over there, we extended it and turned it into a European trip. And I did what I had to do to make the money that I needed to make to pay for that. And the whole 6-week trip probably, I feel like, could have cost $60,000. It could have been 20, and I just was mad and overestimated. But, and you ain't got to do 6 weeks. You might could ride in your state to a national park, and it just costs you gas money. Take your son to that national park. Put your son in music lessons, singing lessons, piano lessons, even if it's just for 6 months. Put your son in karate, even if it's just for 6 months. Put your son in the chess club, in the robotics club. Oh, that costs money, that costs money. Everything costs money. Go broke doing it, so that your son not in the wrong place at the wrong time. Go broke doing it, so that your son is not talking out of place, and so that your son not losing his life because he is joining a gang. And listen, this young man wasn't even doing nothing, lost his life. So imagine how much other danger it is out there. So I need you to understand. I need you to understand. Listen to me. Invest in your sons. Because, and yes, this will go for your daughter too, but women doing good for the most part. Women doing good. Yeah, we could get a message for the daughter too, so that we stop, doing the booties too big. It's like, my goodness, I don't like to judge nobody, but listen, we on the men right now. Expose your son. Today, my son has schoolwork to do. He's doing his schoolwork right now. He told me that it wasn't due today, it's due tomorrow, even though they're out of school. So what I did, I had my wife wake him up, because he like to sleep in. Wake him up, get dressed. He going up here to the school with me. He finna hear me talk to these young men, because he need this message too. So now imagine he getting this message as a sophomore, and these boys getting it in college. So guess what? My son gonna be ready. He gonna be more prepared than they are, because he getting the message that they didn't get until they got to college. Listen, get your son that message. Have your son, if you're a single mom, stop making excuses. Stop making excuses and do what you got to do. Sit down with your son and have your pastor talk to your son for 30 minutes. Teach your son emotional intelligence. Teach your son patience. Have your son sit there and listen for 30 minutes. Have your son listen to this video. And I'm talking to the parents and the adults. Have your son listen to this video. He got to sit there. Give him a pen and pad. When you see me do, I got a course. And I don't know if it's cost or if it's free. On TonyGassAcademy.com, I got a course for young men ages 13 to 18. Have your son go through that course. Sit there with him. Have him go through the course. Sign up. Make him an email address and sign up in his name so his certificate come in his name. And have him go through that course. You go through it with him and have him take notes. Like, put your son through boot camp. You loving your son now. Don't beat on your son. Don't curse at your son. You don't even have to yell at your son. You don't have to put hands on your son. When you give your son structure, you give him structure, you give him consequences, you give him rewards. My son score a goal, he get $50. He get an assist, he get $25. If he have a shutout, meaning the other team don't score on him, he get $25. He get rewards. You get in trouble, you lose your cell phone, you lose your Xbox until I feel like giving it back to you. And now it's going longer because he just lost it for 2 weeks ago for something else. He lost it for 2 weeks a little while ago for something else. So now the punishment got to be longer. But I know I'm going to have to continuously chastise him because he is at an age where they want to test and try you. He's 15. So he's going to have to keep getting shown over and over till he realizes this ain't no room, bruh. Ain't no room. Everything consistent. You ain't getting away with nothing. Nathaniel, you ain't getting away with nothing. Everything getting reprimanded. And everything getting rewarded. What side you want to be on? Listen, do this for your sons. When you can, get your son a passport. If you got to put it on a credit card, put it on a credit card. I know Dave Ramsey and Anthony O'Neill and them be hollering about no debt. Listen, hush. We got people dying. We got kids dying. If you got to get you a credit card, put it on a credit card. Get your son in that class if you ain't got the money up front. If you don't want to use no credit card, then save the money. Save the money, but don't make an excuse. Don't make an excuse. If every check, if you only could put up $5, $10, then you put it up. If you can't put up nothing, then find a foundation. Find an organization in your city that expose these young men to these different things. It's an organization in Gainesville that a brother run, and he raised money for these young men, and he brought them 12 to 15 young men down here to me and had me, and I treated them boys out to eat, and I had a talk with them boys. That's a foundation. It was no mamas, it was no daddies, it was just the man and a few of his staff who probably volunteering. It's organizations like that that exist. Google organization for young men. Google nonprofit for at-risk youth. Google nonprofit for young boys. Near me, it's gonna come up. You're gonna see somebody right near you got an organization that has raised money or getting grants. And when I get the time and the energy and the effort, I'm gonna start mine. Or that's what my nonprofit gonna start doing, raising money to expose these young men to different things. But it's like right now I got to focus on mine. When mine get done, then I could create me another job focusing on other people's kids. But mine got me so busy right now. But I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna have galas raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to take these young men on college trips, take these young men to Italy, take these young men to Africa, take these young men to hear from doctors, from lawyers, from surgeons. Listen, Google lawyers near me. Find a black male lawyer near you. Email him. Go to his office. Sign up for a free consult and say, I'm coming here just to ask you if my son can come shadow you one day. I will pay you. If he can't come shadow you, I'll pay. What would you charge me? If he charged you $500, over $500, he might be a scam artist. Find you another black male attorney. Have your son go shadow him. Find you a black doctor. Go do an appointment with that doctor just so you can meet that doctor and ask him, can your son shadow him? Find your sports team that's closest to you. It could be a lower level pro team or it could be the highest level. Look up their roster. Look up their roster and find the person that you never heard of that don't get no playing time. Look him up on Instagram and send him a DM. That boy that's on the bench that don't get in the game still got enough clout that you could DM him and your son could go shadow him. And he could get that boy into the arena, into the facility, gift you tickets. Now, don't go out with a po mouth in spirit of begging. Don't go ask nobody for no money. But go get your son experiences to expand his mind. Don't just have your son on YouTube and on video games because you tired and because you drained. Because how are you going to feel at your son's funeral when he done joined that gang and got killed by gang violence? How you gonna feel when you got to go visit your son in the penitentiary because you was tired from your job? We are adults. We all tired. Everybody tired. Everybody stressed. Even married women and married men. You know why? Because sometimes you still alone when you're married. I just was gone for 2 weeks. My wife still ain't recovered. And I done been back for about a week. She still ain't recovered from having to do everything by herself because our kids have a marriage household lifestyle. They don't have a single mom home lifestyle. So when I removed myself for them 2 weeks because I had to work, she had to do everything by herself. And so where normally I'm driving them 2 hours, 3 hours for that practice, she had to drive that on top of doing her school drive. She do the school drive, then I do the practice drive. But when I was gone, she had to do the school drive and the practice drive. And I know single moms say, oh, well, I had to do that. And God bless you. It's a handful of single moms who have multiple children in multiple sports. But even then, like my sister, my mama do a lot of the driving. My mama do a lot of the pickup. And so it's different when you create a schedule for your kids knowing you could depend on somebody versus when you have to create a schedule because you know you all you got. God bless you. I'm praying for you. You deserve your flowers for giving your kids experiences and exposure, and you all you got. And if you got a mama or a daddy or a sister or a brother or any friends or family that'll help you with your kids to give them a few more experiences, then do that. Do that and call on the people who claim to love you. Call on the people who claim to have your back and say, hey, can you take little Johnny to practice today? Or can you pick him up for practice because I got to take Susie to ballet? If they say no and you know they ain't got nothing else to do, now you know where they stand at. Now you know what to do with them. But listen, I'm begging you, and I'm doing this with a lot of passion, so I'm not as clear and calm as I need to be. But what I'm telling you, give your child every experience that you could possibly think of. If you got to walk to the experience, if you could drive to the experience, if you got to ride the bus to the experience, I'm going to have my children, I'm going to get my sons on the bus one day to see what it's like for people who got to catch the bus to get to where they got to go to. I'm going to take them to Africa one day so they get to see our roots, the motherland where we come from and what that was like. You hear what I'm telling you? I'm gonna continue. They still ain't had all the experiences that I want them to get. And yeah, your child might not get to get every experience that you want to get him, but get him what you can get him. And you don't know how much that's gonna mean to your son and how that could keep him out of trouble, how that could make him make a better choice in his life. But listen, we seeing these grown men, a lot of these grown men might be done for. A lot of these grown men might be gone. It might be too late for some of these grown men. But we got to focus on the future. We got to focus on the youth because they are going to be our grown men. And we need to make sure that they operate from confidence, from wisdom, from knowledge, from understanding, from strength, and not from insecurity and weakness and being attention seeking. Because see, when you look at Kanye and what he said about them Jews ain't got nothing to do with him. Yeah, it's messed up that he got canceled, and they don't cancel people on that level for talking bad about black people and all this. And yeah, he could have said some truth, and yeah, the Jews own the record labels. Yeah, all that is true. But guess what them Jews is not doing? They not writing them lyrics. We writing the lyrics. Guess what them Jews not doing? They not marrying women from pornos and women from sex tapes and women from Instagram modeling. Them Jews not doing that. We choosing that. So we can't get mad at them for getting money. That ain't gonna help us get mad at somebody for getting money and building their family and for doing business together and building each other up. We can't get mad about that. We can't get mad if they so-called God's chosen people. When you read the Holy Bible, you see the Jews as God's chosen people. Now, like the Bible says in Romans that the young man posted, that some people say that they Jews and God say that they synagogues belong to Satan in the book of Revelations. So that may be the case. Guess what? God gonna sort that out. We got to get our life right with God. We first got to get out of fornication. We then got to get out of adultery. We then got to get out of idolatry. We then got to get out of blasphemy before we got the nerve to speak on a whole culture, a whole nother race. So guess what? When you talk to your son, then your son is not chasing attention. Regardless of whether Kanye West or Kyrie Irving spoke truth or not, regardless of whether they said any truth or not, I'm gonna tell you what they want in the midst of that. What they also want attention. And see, when your son is confident, when you have spoken into your son and your son is confident, then he's not gonna be seeking validation and attention. He's not gonna be drawing attention to himself. Your son gonna understand timing. He gonna understand means to an end. He gonna understand positioning. He gonna understand when to speak. See, it's a whole lot I could speak on, but I understand the climb. I understand I'm 38. I understand I can't go and say something to get myself canceled before I didn't even got signed on. It's timing. We learned that from Jesus Christ. When Mary went to Jesus and tried to talk to Jesus, he say, hold on, woman, it's not my time. I'm not supposed to be doing this at 15, at 20. My time is 33. 33 years when he could have did it at 6. He could have did it at 10. He could have started doing wonders at 10, 12, 15, 18. You grown 18. Jesus could have started doing wonders at 18. Healing the blind, traveling, all of this right here. At that time, they was grown at 13. They ain't have social media. They matured fast. So 33. Timing. But see, when your son understand chess and not just Uno, then he understand grandmaster moves. He understand when to speak and when to be quiet. He understand humility. He understand patience. He understand temperance. He understand delivery. He understand stop smoking weed. Leave them drugs alone. Because if you got alcohol and drugs in your system, you got marijuana in your system, you got Percocet in your system, you might say some things that may have a tinge of truth to it, but you said it the wrong way. You phrased it the wrong way. But see, when you spend time with your son and you talking to your son, and you just teaching normal everyday life, you just talking normal everyday life. You ain't got to be doing dissertations. You ain't got to be reading Shakespeare. You just teaching normal everyday lessons. Me and my son today, we sitting in the gym, we watching the basketball team practice. He said, Dad, what time is it? I say, son, when you sitting in somebody else's establishment, never let them see you check your watch. Never look impatient and like you fed up and you ready to go. Don't let nobody see you check your watch when you here to serve. Just a simple little lesson, just like that. My son will never forget that lesson. When he need to look at the time, when he's somewhere, he gonna sneak and look at his watch. But he not gonna pull up his sleeve and look at his watch when the head of the house when the speaker of the night is sitting there looking at him. When the person up there speaking, or the person up there performing, or the person up there got the stage, not gonna be able to look at my son and see him checking the time, even though his booty hurting from this hard chair and he ready to go. But also what that was, what I'm teaching my son, patience. Son, sit in the back of the room when I talk. Go sit in the back of the room. Here go my phone. Record me. Teaching them patience. Teaching them diligence. Teaching them work ethic. So now you got to listen and you got to work while you listening. So my 25-minute speech, I got it recorded. I got it recorded. Because I had my son recording it. Now, had I not told my son that, he might have sat in the corner behind me. Because as humans, we want attention. We want to be seen. We want to be recognized. So he might have sat in the corner behind me, and then they looking at him instead of looking at me. And I'd have had grown men go with me on speaking engagement and stand in a position that they are a distraction to the audience. Grown men. And that's just from not knowing no better. Just from not being told it's not about you. Play your role, know your place. And we have to talk to our sons about everything. Hey, Tony Gas, I've been sitting in the parking lot. I couldn't get my wife a Starbucks, and she called me, and I talked through the call, so let me call her. She probably about a TikTok or something, but let me call her. God bless you. We'll talk soon. I'm gonna keep on this series though, and give you some more tips and tools as I learn. I'll share. God bless you. We'll talk soon. And listen, we're gonna do a talk for 13 and up. So all of y'all 13 and up, make sure you go get a course on Tony Gas Academy. So when I send the email, you get the email about this free Zoom call for 13 and up boys. God bless you.